What have we got today on Amanda's Kitchen Edit?
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be making cheese danishes,
Mmm,
similar to the cheese danish you would get at your local coffee shop.
or gas station.
Better at a coffee shop. Let's go over what you're going to need to make this. The most important part of this you'll see is not here yet. It's your puff pastry. You want to leave that in your refrigerator until it's absolutely the time to work with it. It needs to stay chilled up until the last minute, and I'll tell you why a little bit later. You're also going to need 2 packages of 8 ounces of cream cheese, which
Imagine that running through your veins.
I have cubed this so it's going to be a little bit easier to mix with our hand mixer. And then you're going to need 1 lemon. You're going to need some vanilla, sour cream, an egg mixed with a teaspoon of water, and then 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And then you're going to need some powdered sugar and some milk for our glaze that we're going to put on at the very end. So let's get started. I've got my bowl and I've got a hand mixer. This is a nice tool to have rather than a stand mixer because you really got to get around there and get the cream cheese mixed up real good. I'm going to go ahead and add my 2 8-ounce packages of cream cheese that I've cubed. And then we're going to add the juice from 1 lemon. You're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. And then you're going to add, isn't this neat? It's the sour cream. It's not in a tub. It's squeezy. Fun. So we're going to add 2 teaspoons, all right, of sour cream. We're going to add 3/4 a cup of granulated sugar. And then just mix this till it's mixed really well.
Well, how do you know when it's mixed really well?
I will show you. It would be smooth and creamy, and you won't have any lumps of cream cheese because we are going to pipe this onto our puff pastry. And we're just going to use a Ziploc bag to do that. And as I said earlier, we're going to wait till the very last minute to bring out our puff pastry because we want it chilled until the last minute.
All right, so how's this done?
The reason you want to wait until the last minute is because puff pastry is basically layers of butter and dough and butter and dough and butter and dough. And the water in the butter turns to steam and basically pushes up the layers. And that's why they call it puff pastry. You get these layers and layers and layers just covered with ooey gooey butter, and it's lifted and popped up around your topping that you would put in the center. I've got this laid out, and you never want to cut puff pastry where you're dragging it. When you drag something to cut it, it seals the layers so you won't get the puff. So you actually, and the reason I've got this gigantic knife is you want to go down and up. Down and up. Do not let it drag.
What a drag.
And going over here, you can really cut these whichever shape you prefer. But we're going to go with the classic rectangle that you would see. We've got that cut up. And I'm going to go get a cookie sheet to put this on. It helps if you want to add some parchment paper over your cookie sheet just so it doesn't stick. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer these to my parchment paper on my cookie sheet. If you leave this out a long time, it'll start to become almost impossible to work with because the butter starts melting. So you want to go ahead and any handling you have to do, you want to do it early
Well, it's cool.
while it's cold and cool. Got this one.
All right.
Next, you want to do your egg wash. Do not let the egg get to the edge, because if you do that, it will also seal it so you don't get the rise. So without letting your egg touch the edge, you just want to gently brush a glaze on here. And you don't have to get the center, because that's where we're going to have our topping. But we're just going to brush this egg and water glaze as close to the edge as we can get. But we don't want to let it hit the actual edge of the pastry and seal it. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to all 8 of these. Now we can put our cream cheese mixture onto these. What I like to do is just get a regular Ziploc bag, and you want to stick it into something that's going to hold it up while you put your mixture in there. I like to just sort of stick it into a bowl or a large cup, and that way I can spoon my mixture. Let me grab a spatula, and I'm going to go ahead and get this into my makeshift Ziploc piping bag. This in there.
Necessity, mother invention, something like that.
When you cut the edge of this, obviously, however big your hole is how large you get your piping that comes out. So I'm going to cut I want a fairly big result. Yeah, output. And you can practice and cut smaller and then work yourself bigger if you want to. You want to hold your hand and just hold it closed at the top. And then you're going to use your second hand to help squeeze it. So I'm going to start and with a back and forth motion. I'm just going back and forth in a way that leaves this in its rectangular shape. And I'm going to go ahead and finish doing all of these. You just want to make sure you leave exposed pastry on all 4 sides, because it's got to raise up and hold this filling in. I'm just going to continue to do this. I've got this piped onto all of these. It isn't perfect, but once it starts cooking, this is all sort of going to flatten out anyway. I was mainly going for shape and making sure I had an even layer of this mixture. I'm just going to go along and we'll add a little bit more to some of these.
At the end of the baking process, all this will look just kind of globule, right?
Not glob is a bad word.
Well, like a big puddle of cheese on top of a
Yeah, a
Danish.
delicious ooey gooey puddle.
Ooey gooey butter, ooey gooey puddles. Ooey gooey is just a favorite descriptive term of yours, isn't it?
Everybody loves ooey gooey.
They do.
I'm gonna go ahead and just top it with a few extra little back and forth swirls. Well, it's not a swirl, it's a zigzag.
I used to make ladies pay extra for the back and forth swirl.
Now that is done, we're going to chill this. It cannot go right into the oven. You need to chill this for at least 30 minutes to an hour. And if you chill it for more, it won't hurt. The more you chill it, the better. And then once we chill it for at least 30 minutes to an hour, it'll be ready to bake.
Yeah.
So we'll be right back after this chills out for a while.
How's it going?
Hello. Welcome back. We've got our cheese danishes out of the refrigerator. I'm gonna go ahead and preheat the oven to 400. We're gonna do a hot start. The point of a hot start is we want the dough around the edges of this cream cheese mixture to rise fast. And in doing that, it's gonna hold our cheese mixture in. It looks impossible right now, but it will work. We're gonna do about 10 minutes on the hot start at 400, and then we're gonna turn the oven down to 350 for about 20 minutes. I'll let you know once we get done with this where we end up. You will need to make your glaze for the top. I've got about 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, and then we're gonna add about, you wanna do this in small increments because if you add too much, you then have to add more sugar and it's an endless thing. So we're gonna start with like a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half
That's the edit
of
part.
milk.
That's the edit part of Amanda's Kitchen Edit.
And we're gonna stir that around and it will start dissolving into this milk.
Amanda's Kitchen Estimate.
And so, that's very true. So this is still a little too thick, so I'm gonna add another 1/2 teaspoon.
Really?
And stir some more. And we're just gonna keep stirring until we get more of a drizzle. And we want it to drizzle pretty nicely. That's doing good. And we're gonna do this back and forth over our danishes when they come out of the oven. Once the danishes come out of the oven and are cooled, we'll drizzle this icing on. 400, 10 minutes, reduce the heat to 350 for another 20 minutes. Do not open the oven, no matter how tempted you are. If you open the oven, it will deflate. So keep the oven closed. Hopefully you have an oven light and don't open the oven until you're ready to take them out. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back. Our pastries are done. I did bake them for an extra 10 minutes. So here's what I ended up doing. We did 10 minutes at 400, and then I reduced the heat to 350 for another 30 minutes. When you first take them out, you'll notice that the cream cheese filling is almost like a dome. And after it sits out and cools off, that will sink like it's supposed to. And so as you'll see here, I'm a little bit of a glutton for this cream cheese filling. It is so good. I have a tendency to put a little more than I should, but it's just too delicious not to. You'll see that the edges rose nicely to hold that in there during our hot start at 400 degrees. So that rose up pretty fast to keep our filling in there. So now we're going to put on the icing glaze. This is the powdered sugar and the milk.
I made this myself.
If you make this and it's too thin, just add more powdered sugar until it thickens up. If it's too thick, add more milk. Here we go. I'm just going to drizzle this back and forth. Should I do sideways? Let's do sideways. Woo-hoo.
Now you know it's a party.
So you can do it like that, or if you want to do it, I think that's the way most of the stores have it.
I feel like people are missing out on the opportunity to just throw the pastry in the bowl and eat from there.
I think I like the straight across a little better. But we'll do half like this and half sideways. Woo!
All right, we'll just leave the bowl and we'll try it my way.
We're gonna put these on a nice pretty platter.
Because we love doing dishes in this house.
Yeah, but for you, we're gonna put this on a beautiful platter. Even though it's just for me and my husband. You will need to store these in the refrigerator because it is cream cheese. So it's not something you can just leave out. But you can pop them in the oven on a piece of aluminum foil and set your oven to 350.
No need to set a timer. Just set the preheat, throw in there, wait for the beep, and you're good to go. Hey, look at that.
It's very tasty. I'm going to take a bite. See how puffy that is? It's so good. Thanks for watching.
Now it's time to eat.